The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, Lord.
When the Magi had departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, "Rise, take the child and his mother, flee to Egypt, and stay there until I tell you. Herod is going to search for the child to destroy him." Joseph rose and took the child and his mother by night and departed for Egypt. He stayed there until the death of Herod, that what the Lord had said through the prophet might be fulfilled, "Out of Egypt I called my son." When Herod had died, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt and said, "Rise, take the child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel, for those who sought the child's life are dead." He rose, took the child and his mother, and went to the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus was ruling over Judea in place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go back there. And because he had been warned in a dream, he departed for the region of Galilee. He went and dwelt in a town called Nazareth, so that what had been spoken through the prophets might be fulfilled: "He shall be called a Nazarene." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Time is stretched, both in today's feast and in our lectionary reading. Remember that the church year is not simply a retelling of the life of Jesus. Notice that today's gospel begins with the Magi departing. They've come and gone. But we won't celebrate Epiphany till next Sunday. Biblical order, as well as the order of our church year, aren't always in sync. They're not meant to be. Far more important for us to notice and recognize in this account, and not only today, but throughout this whole year of which we are reading Matthew, is Matthew tells the story of Jesus through the story of Israel in the Old Testament. So the Lord speaks to Joseph in dreams, which calls to mind the Old Testament story of Jacob's favorite son, Joseph, the one with the multicolored coat. He also was a receiver of dreams. He also ends up in Egypt. That Herod seeks to kill the infant Jesus should remind us of that first chapter of Exodus, where we find Pharaoh's edict to kill every male Jewish baby. And in that story, of course, Moses is delivered from that edict by being placed in a basket and floated on the river, saved through the water. Baptism, anyone? And of course, Israel itself will make an exodus from Egypt. And so too the Holy Family is summoned to return from Egypt to the Promised Land. So the Holy Family were, in fact, migrants and asylum seekers. And odds are, so too were your ancestors, as were mine. Immigration and being a family pretty much go hand in hand. In Archbishop Weisenberger's homily for today, he references the fact that right now 1 in 70 of every person on the globe has been forced to flee from their homeland and seek safety elsewhere. Today we keep the feast of the Holy Family. Being family is not easy. What about your family? Was your family of origin a holy family? How have you helped to make your family holy? The older I become, the more appreciation I have for my parents. Now, they were hardly perfect. They certainly had their faults and their shortcomings. And yet, as we say, they were also certainly more than good enough parents. Growing up in the north end of Redford Township, we were far from wealthy. I happily dressed in my brother's hand-me-downs. But there was always food on the table. There was warmth. There was Catholic education, a sense of faith in our home. We were encouraged to be independent, and yet we knew we could be so because if we got into a pinch, Mom and Dad would be there. Now, obviously, no family is perfect, nor can they be good enough in every way. A family is a very human system. It can be that within a family, love, trust, and confidence are experienced and learned. It can also be that within a family, great wounds, lifelong wounds, can be inflicted. And that is why I think the wisdom found in our second reading today goes a long way for us in avoiding hurts and squabbles. The letter to the Colossians encourages us that whatever we do, in word or deed, do everything in the name of the Lord Jesus. Wow, imagine if we could emblazon those words into our hearts and our conscience. Do everything in the name of the Lord Jesus. That, I think, would go a long way in making our families more holy and, by extension, making the family of the church more holy.